Hello, friends. Welcome to your yoga class. My name is Jenny. This is a core and restore class, so props are going to be your friend. You're going to want to take a moment to just kind of gather some props, a few things that might come in handy. Blocks. If you don't have blocks, something similar shape like hard-covered books or something along those lines. I don't think I have anything specifically planned using blocks, but these are always a nice addition to your practice to bring the ground closer, bring a little support. As you can see, I like to sit on mine to just give me a little more space in the hips and belly. Blankets. So I like to have 2 blankets, sometimes of various sizes. These 2 are obviously the same size, but a smaller one for a little bit of cushion, a little bit of padding, maybe a little bit of lift. And maybe a larger one, especially if you don't have, another prop is cushions or bolsters. This is a yoga specific, kind of bolster or meditation cushion. But we are going to be utilizing this in the restore part. So if you don't have one of these, feel free to grab couch cushions, stack of pillows, or a really thick blanket that we can kind of use to recreate this kind of shape and lift. Other blankets of various sizes, pillows, anything that you're going to want for Shavasana, maybe something warm to snuggle up in, eye mask, anything along those lines. So take your time to gather some props. You may want to grab some water too, because our theme for today is core kickoff. So we are going to be exploring, we're really going to put the core in core and restore today. So we're going to be exploring activating and engaging in the core to build both strength and flexibility through various kicks, so through the use of the legs. So not only are we going to be building the core, we're going to be building, we're going to be working on hip mobility, some working on the hip flexors. You're probably feeling it in glutes, hamstrings, quads, just kind of this whole general areas where we're going to see some activation. And as always, I'm going to give you lots of different options to explore. Know that these are not ranked good, better, best, or there's a hierarchy that you need to push yourself to. I just like to give you plenty of options so that no matter where you are in your practice, in that moment, if you're wanting less engagement or more engagement, if you're needing to back off or kick it up, or just wanting to kind of explore and bring a little curiosity into your practice, I want to make sure that you have plenty of options to do that. So feel free to have fun with this, to really just get into your body, really tune into the body, listen to what it's saying. Don't just kind of push yourself forward or, think bigger, harder, faster, anything like that. So just really listen to the body and explore the different options that I give. And if one of the options I don't give doesn't fit for you and something else does, you have autonomy in your practice. At least that's my goal with giving all these options, is so that you can explore your own practice, because it's going to be different every single time you step on your mat, and it's going to be individual to you. That's the glory of yoga, is that it's such an individual sport that there's, or not even sport, it's an individual practice, that there's really no right or wrong way, as long as you're doing it mindfully and safely and engaging, you can't go wrong. So let's jump into it. We'll just start by getting nice and grounded. So find a comfortable seated position. You're welcome to sit on the ground, or sitting in a chair or on a couch would feel better for you. If you're taking that seated position on the chair or couch, make sure your feet are nice and grounded. If you're sitting on the ground, really connect down to those sits bones and to whatever part of yours is touching the ground. And as you saw at the beginning, I really like to sit up on, you can do a blanket, cushion, pillows, block, anything like that. This is nice just to bring a lift in the booty, and so you can tilt the pelvis forward. It just creates more space here, and just a little more mobility, helps you sit a little bit taller, helps you to find that length in the spine. So this is nice, especially if you have tighter hamstrings or a tighter low back. But it can be a nice addition, even if you're hypermobile and crazy flexible, it can still, bring a little more lift into your practice. So settle in to your nice seated position. And we are really focusing on lengthening through the spine. So we're grounding down towards the sits bones. The sits bones are nice and even on whatever surface you're sitting on, chair, couch, floor, a prop, anything like that. Really ground down from that connection. And then use that to lengthen up through the crown of the head. Let the neck be an extension of the spine. But we're not sitting rigid, we're not soldiers here, so relax in the shoulders, relax in the face. So we're sitting with intention, but we're not tensing up in the body. You're welcome to close the eyes if that feels good, or just simply soften your gaze and just take a moment to kind of notice where you feel centered in your body. If I were to ask you to pinpoint, where is your center today, right now, in this moment? Where do you feel most centered? And there's no right or wrong answer. And I'll be coming back to this question, and it may change through your practice. So, commonly it may be in the belly, maybe in the heart, but it could be up in the shoulders, could be down in the hips, maybe even in the legs. Maybe you feel more centered in the head. Just notice, where do you feel centered? Where is your center today, right now? And as we're moving through this practice, as we're bringing in all these kicks and fun little things, if at any point you start to feel distracted or start to find the mind to wander or start to get frustrated, just take a moment to come back to your center. Whether it's that same place or just feel in and notice, okay, where am I feeling centered now? Awesome work. Start to notice your breath. And when it feels right for you, start to find a little more intention in your breath. So just like we're bringing awareness and intention to how we are seated, this nice length in the spine, start to find some nice length in your breath. So extending out the inhale, and then letting that carry into the exhale. And since we are doing a core kickoff, let's start to find our core, start to engage in the core. So as you lengthen your inhale, allow your belly to press out, kind of giving yourself this little Buddha belly. And this can feel really uncomfortable for a lot of people. I want to say women especially, but not specifically just women. Because of fat phobia, of diet culture, it's sucking in, getting that nice flat belly. Notice if that comes up for you. Notice if you have a resistance to pressing that belly out. And just kind of sit with that and kind of work through it. Just kind of get curious about it. Don't judge yourself. Don't have any expectations, but just kind of notice if you have a little resistance to that. But on the inhale, let the belly press out, and what this does, biologically, is allows the diaphragm to lower, and it creates more space for the lungs to expand. And then on the exhale, draw the belly in towards the spine and up towards the heart, finding some activation that also lifts the diaphragm and helps to press all that air out. And we're going to take it a step further on that exhale as you draw the belly in and up, hug the ribs in. So that may even cause a little rounding in the low back, so don't take it so extreme. We're not getting into cat-cow quite yet. But really start to find that connection to your core. And these exercises or these drills, these movements that we're going to be doing is going to be working on both core strength and core stability. And both are really important. When we think core strength, we think about the six-pack abs and, being able to, having a strong core. And you can have those big, rectus abdominis muscles, but maybe not have the stability within your core. So the stability is what is going to help with more dynamic movement. As we move throughout our day, help with balance. That core stability helps to support especially, once we get past the ribs, from the ribs down to the hips, there's no real muscular structure aside from the spine. So that core stability is going to help to support the spine, support the hips, and that's brought in by some more subtle movements. It may not get you the six-pack abs, but It's going to really benefit your overall balance, your overall strength, and how you're able to move through space, your proprioception. So really start to connect to the core. And then we're just going to warm up a little bit through the belly. So just start to circle through the torso. Notice where you feel some tension. I've got really tight hip flexors, so I'm feeling it there. I've got some low back stuff going on, so definitely feeling a little tight there. And these circles could be small, they could be bigger if you want to maybe drop the chest down as you circle around. And when you're ready, just reverse the direction of those circles. Nice work. Now let's just start to bring in a little bigger movements, bring in a little more stretching. So when you're ready, release the right hand down towards the ground, reach left arm up and over. I'm mirroring you, so we should be going on the same direction. We really keep the sits bones grounded. Inhale, come back up through center and just take it to the other side. Left hand drops down, right hand reaches up as you arch over towards the left. Ooh, yeah. And if it feels good, just finding some movement side to side. Starting to really activate through the core, continue to lengthen through the breath. Engaging in our obliques. If this side to side transition is working for you, continue with that, or maybe bringing in those circles, maybe dropping down and around. Beautiful, we're just waking up through the center, some movement going. Awesome. When you're ready, go ahead and clear any props off of your mat, and we're going to come into a seat, plant the feet, bend the knees, and we'll take some seated cat-cow. So inhaling, to draw the chest forward as you lengthen through the spine, shoulder blades pinch together as you lift up through the heart, and then exhale, rounding out, tucking in through the chin, letting the back of the heart shine out. So there is some core activation here, but this is a little bit more for spinal mobility, just because we're going to be working with the spine. Ooh, that's a good way to stretch it out. All right, now we're going to start to kick in our core. Oh, excuse me. We're going to inhale to lengthen as we open up. And then on our exhale, as we round it out, we're going to start to come down towards the ground. Hands could stay on the legs, walking down the legs. They could release behind you for support, or they could extend out. Nice and slow. Take your time. Core is engaged. Embrace the shaking. And it's okay if you fall back. Coming down towards the ground. Awesome work. Now I want you to bring a slight lift in the chest. Tuck the shoulder blades under just a little, nothing too extreme. Just to kind of get a little opening in the chest. Walk the heels up towards the glutes. Press into the feet. Press into the shoulders just enough to lift the hips. And then we're going to tilt the pelvis down so we lengthen the tailbone in between the ankles and then set the hips back down. So that just spreads out through the low mat, or through the low back along the mat. We're going to draw the belly down, hug ribs in. Awesome work. Now we're going to extend the legs out. Your choice here, hands can stay on the ground, palms pressing into the earth. Or hands could come back behind you, interlacing through the head, or interlacing behind the head, not through the head, opening up through the elbows, chin lifting. Awesome work. Now draw belly down, hug ribs in, and then start to hover the legs. So we're just a couple inches, maybe a foot, foot and a half up off the ground, whatever feels right for you. And then we're going to do little flutter kicks. So we're not moving very big here. So again, the hands could be on the ground. It may even feel nice to bring them underneath the booty. Or you could have the hands back behind you. Ooh, that's more of a challenge. All right, we're feeling that core already, kicking that in. Here we go. Stay stay with the breath. Awesome work. Stay connected. We're activating through the legs. Here we go. For 3, 2, and 1. Draw the knees in towards the chest. Nice work. Now from here, we're going to try to bring the knees in line with the hips. It's okay if they're not quite there. That takes some bit of flexibility and some core strength. Now, options here. And you can interlace the hands behind the head, elbows open, chin lifting. Flex the feet back. Now here, you're either just going to release the foot down, right foot down, tap the heel, and bring it back in. Release left foot down, tap the heel, bring it back in. So this is one option. If this is a bit of a challenge for you, feel free to keep the feet on the ground and kind of reverse it. So keep the heels on the ground and then just lift one at a time. Fantastic work. If you want a little bit more, raise the head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground. Elbows stay lifted. Excuse me, shoulders stay lifted. Elbows are open. Chin lifting up towards the sky. Stay connected to your breath. Engage in the core, belly drawing in, ribs hugging in. Awesome work. Let's take it for 3 more on each side. So we've got 3, 2, and 1. Awesome work. After your last one, extend the legs up towards the sky. Nice work. Now, once again, you can keep the head on the ground, elbows open, or you can raise the head, neck, and shoulders up off the ground. So we're going to inhale, extend the right arm up towards the left leg, bend in the right knee. Okay, so here we go. We're going to inhale to reach as we extend that right leg out, and exhale, raise it all back up to center. Bend in the right knee. We're just working one side. Extend out as you reach across the body and raise it up. Okay. Bend in the knee. Reach across as you extend the leg out and raise it up. Now the leg doesn't need to fully extend. You can keep the knee bent as much as you'd like, but as you're coming across the body, make sure that the elbows are staying open, that chest is staying open, so we're not just faking the crunch, that twist, and faking the activation in the obliques, but we're really feeling it here. Awesome, let's just do one more on this side, knee bends, reach across, extend out, draw it back in. Whew, awesome work. Let's switch it out to the other side. Bend that left knee, elbows open. When you're ready, we're extending the left arm over towards the right toes, getting that oblique crunch as we extend the left leg out. Inhale, bring it all back to center. Bend, extend and twist. Bring it back. Awesome work. Again, we're not cranking through the neck, we're not closing through the chest, we're really working those obliques. Whew. And the hip flexors, at least that's where I'm feeling it. Awesome work. Let's take one more on this side. the head, release the feet. Ooh, draw the knees in towards the chest if that would feel good. Maybe some side to side movement. Anything else would feel good here. Maybe, happy baby or reclined frog pose to kind of feel into those hip flexors. All right, I've got one more bit of core work here on our backs. We're going to be coming into a bridge pose. So you're welcome to bring in a block or a book or something for a supported bridge, or you could take just your traditional bridge. So we're going to walk the heels in towards the glutes so much that you can graze the fingertips on the backs of the heels. And now that arch that we had, that lift in the chest, really exaggerate it and fully tuck the shoulders underneath. So we've got this big arch in the spine. Press down into the feet, press into the shoulders, press into the head, and then we'll slowly start to peel the pelvis off the ground, scooping that tailbone down in between the heels as we raise up. All right, so more active pose is going to be here in your bridge. A little more passive is going to be sliding a prop, something underneath, so that you don't have to work so hard to keep the hips lifted, because we're going to be bringing in those kicks with the legs. So your choice, your level of activation here. We're going to inhale, draw the right knee in towards the chest. Exhale, extend it up, lower down, and back in. Inhale, exhale, lower, and back in. Inhale, leg extends. Exhale, leg lowers, really press into that left foot, knee draws in. 3 more, right foot extends. Exhale to lower, and draw it in. And last one, inhale, extend. Exhale, lower, and draw back in. Step that foot down. Switching it out, really pressing into that right foot. Keep the hips lifted, or they're supported with a prop. Inhale, extend left leg up, toes flex back. Exhale, release the leg down. Draw back in. Inhale, extend up. Exhale, lower. And draw it in. If you're in bridge with no support, keep those hips lifted. Keep pressing down into that right foot, down into the shoulders. Awesome work. One more. Inhale, extend left leg. Exhale, lower. Draw it in, step that foot down. We're back in our bridge pose. Awesome work. If you've got props there, go ahead and remove them. Untuck through the shoulders to create more space in the spine. And exhale, lower down nice and slow. You feeling that? I definitely am. All right, when you're ready, if it would feel good here, bring in a little rocking horse. So rocking along the length of the spine. We're tucking the chin in towards the chest so that we're kind of working to kind of press the muscles along the spine into the earth instead of necessarily the ground. If this doesn't feel good for you, skip it. And we're going to meet up in a tabletop. So you can roll to one side and press yourself up, or you can roll up, cross the ankles, come forward. You'll have to back the truck up to stay on your mat. And we're coming into a tabletop. A little bit of added cushion can be nice here. So maybe take a blanket and put it down so that you can kneel on it. You can also double up on the mat. Patting the knees, and take time here to really set up your tabletop. So we're planting the hands on the ground, and find what feels good here. The common cue is elbows underneath the wrist. That's really extreme bend on the wrist, so if that doesn't feel good for you, walk the hands forward. You can play with turning, playing with the angle of the hands. Sometimes I like to have my pointer finger forward instead of my middle finger. So take your time there, lengthen through the spine, lift in the back of the heart. Awesome work. So we're lengthening through the spine. We've got this lift here. Knees are underneath the hips. And we're trying to not shift too much through the hips as we bring in this movement. So we're going to step the right foot back, toes stay on the ground, really root back through that left heel, or excuse me, right heel, so you get that activation. All right, so from here we're going to do some kicks. Draw belly in, hug ribs in, engage in the core. And then you can keep the toes on the ground and just lift and lower. Not coming very high. Or you can raise, hover the foot and do little pulses. Awesome work. Now notice, it's just mostly my lower body that's working. I'm not kicking that leg up so much that it drops my hips down and causes compression in the low back. Awesome work. We're activating through that leg. So the toes are flexed down. We're rooting through the heel. Notice if you've shifted your weight really into that left hip, try to kind of even it out through the hands. Awesome work. Now we're going to bend the knee. So the knee is at a 90-degree angle, and we're going to kick up. Now this you can have the knee down on the ground and little pulses up, or you can have the knee hovering and little pulses. But again, we're not taking it so far in that hip flexor that we're dropping the chest and compressing through the low back. Whew, I'm feeling this in my left glute. That stabilizing muscle here. Awesome work. All right, so just one more on this side. So from here, we're going to extend the leg out. We're going to bend the right knee, kick in those obliques as we bring the right knee to the right elbow. Extend out, and then we're going to bend the right knee behind the left. Little crunch in, and extend out. Now the toe can stay on the ground as you bring that knee in, extend, and cross, or the leg could hover. Stay connected to the breath, press into the hands, lengthen through the spine. Embrace the shake, embrace the burning in the booty. I'm feeling that. Whew. Now again, we're not faking that side crunch, we're really working those obliques. Awesome work. Let's take one more on this right side. Nice work. Release the right knee down. And if it would feel good, send the hips back, lower the chest down into a child's pose. Or you could walk the hands back, coming up into a hero's pose. However you choose to rest and find your center. Come back to that sensation of feeling centered. Notice in your physical body where you feel most centered. And it may not feel very centered right now because we've only worked one side. So it may feel a little off balance. Fantastic work. All right, as you're ready, we'll take a little series on the other side. So maybe we were on the wrist for a minute, so maybe roll out through the wrist if that feels good, or shake it out, whatever you'd like to do. And then we'll come back into our tabletop. Awesome work. Find that solid connection down to the hands. Find the placement for the hands, the wrist that feels good here. Lift in the back of the heart, extend through the crown of the head, draw belly in, hug ribs in. So you can see we're not dropping the belly down, and we're not fully rounding out. We've got a nice neutral spine with the core stability here. We're supporting the core. Awesome work. We're going to extend the left toes back. Left toes find the ground as we reach back through the heel to find that activation. And then here, either keeping the toes on the ground and raising up as high as feels okay, about parallel to the mat, not too much higher than that. Or hovering the leg and bring in little kicks, little pulses. So the range of your kicks is going to be anywhere from just an inch off the ground to just a little bit past parallel. Again, we're not dropping down, we're not, crunching in the low back. Belly drawing in, ribs hugging in, gazes towards the ground so we're not crunching through the neck. And the difference between this and just a gym workout is our mindfulness and our breath. We're staying connected to the body. We're not just trying to bust out reps. We're not trying to hit a certain number. But we're really just focusing on the engagement in the body, how this is feeling in the body. And like we talked about last week, using that interoception, those messages from the body. Awesome work. From here, we're going to bend that knee so it's at 90 and pulse. So again, the knee could be on the ground with a little range of motion or a larger range of motion, or the foot could hover. And we're not coming up so high that we're arching in the back. We're keeping that nice and extended. Notice the weight distribution between both hands and that right knee. There might be a tendency to shift over into that right hip. Try to kind of redistribute. Maybe even pressing a little extra into that left hand to try to kind of even things out. Awesome work. Feeling that heat. Feeling a little strengthening. Awesome work. Last one here. We're going to extend the leg out. We're going to bring in that oblique crunch, bringing the left elbow to the left knee. Extend it out. Left knee crosses and bends behind the right knee. And re-extend. Awesome work. Linking the breath to the movements. How it's working for me is inhaling to extend. Exhale to crunch knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale to crunch the knee behind. If there's a different breathing pattern that works best for you, just link the breath to the movements. Doesn't matter how, just as long as you do. Awesome work. Let's take one more on this side. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow, side crunch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee crosses behind. Inhaling, extend, and exhale, release left knee down. Anything that would feel good here. Again, maybe sitting back into a child's pose, into a hero's pose. What my body is asking for is some hip circles. Ooh, yeah, those glutes are working. Awesome work. And take a moment to get off the wrists, whether you're coming back into child's pose or up into hero's pose. Maybe roll out through the wrists or shake it out. All right. I always have more planned than I have time to do. So we're going to play with that in downward dog, but I also want to get into some standing poses. So, and we've got the restore part, which is the yummiest part of the practice. So let's go ahead and move forward. So you can move, if you've got your little cushion, your little padding, you can go ahead and set that off to the side. Come back to our tabletop. We're going to prop the toes. We're going to find that same rooting back through the heels. Find, that solid connection to the hands, that lengthening through the spine. And we're going to draw the belly in. Hug the ribs in. As you root back through the heels, root back through the tailbone, and slowly start to hover the knees. So we're coming into a bear pose. So this is kind of like we're crouching, like almost ready to pounce. We're still lengthening through the spine. We've got a little more activation, a lot more activation here, in the legs and in the core. And then use this to continue to lift the hips. The head will start to kind of duck down, head between the biceps. And we come into our first downward dog. You can keep the knees nice and bent if pedaling through the feet would feel good here. Feel free to take that. Awesome work. On an inhale, look up at the hands, bend in the knees, and then either step or kind of launch yourself forward. Awesome work. That jumping is definitely something to work up to. So we're in a nice forward fold. Inhale, take a half lift. So find that same tabletop extension in the spine. The hands can come to the shins, to the thighs. Awesome work. And then on an exhale, release it all down. A block could come in handy here to bring the ground closer. We want to keep at least a little softening in the knees, but you can bend the knees as much as you like. Just get a nice stretch to the backs of the legs. Up into the glutes, hammies. Release to the head, neck, and shoulders. Maybe shake it out. Awesome work. From here, we're going to draw the belly in towards the spine. Release the hands, and nice and slow, we're just going to roll up ragdoll style. Keep the knees bent. The tailbone is tucking down. And we're just rolling up nice and slow. Oh yeah, articulating through the spine. Making your way up if it would feel good. Reach the arms up and overhead. And exhale. Release it down. Shake it out. Do whatever would feel good here. Take a moment in your mountain pose to find center. So we switch up the position of the body. We were lying down, then we were on hands and knees, now we're standing. Find your center. You can even bring your hands to your center, to wherever you're feeling it. If that helps you to viscerally connect. It's hard to tell if my head's cut off. Sorry if it is. All right. Now we're going to bring in this core work, this core stability and strength, while working on some balancing. And of course, some kicks. You got that core kickoff. So I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what I got going on. You're going to come to the front of your mat. Well, you can come up to the center of the mat. Doesn't really matter where you're standing. Just as long as you're on your mat. So when you're ready, really root down towards the left foot. Really press into all four corners of that left foot. Get that solid foundation, that solid connection. So you can shift the weight into the left foot without shifting through the hips. So we're not just, like leaning into it, but we're shifting the weight. And there's enough of a tilt here that we can lift that right foot and it can kind of swing. Now, if your legs are different lengths, this may be a time to bring in, your blanket, a little extra cushion, give yourself a little lift, just so that you can kind of have this little pendulum kind of swinging of the leg without, kicking the heel down and breaking the heel. I have actually done that in a martial arts class. We were kicking and coming down, and my heel hit, and it was bad times. But okay, so from here, find that core activation, belly drawing in, ribs hugging in. We're going to bend the knee, raise it up towards the sky, toes flex back. And then on the exhale, we're going to send the leg back, just as far as feels okay. Maybe there's a little tilting forward. You can keep that knee bent too, if that feels best. Now this can be subtle movements. Doesn't have to, you don't have to tick-tock very far, but you could, if it feels good to have that leg extended. And maybe you start to come forward towards a warrior three. So we're working nice and slow, building that stability. We're building stabilizing muscles in the left leg. We're building core stability. We're activating through that right foot. So it's not just, we're not just swinging dead weight around and trying to use momentum here. It's obviously going to throw you off balance like it just did me. We're working with control here. And with kind of the transfer of balance. It might be what we work on next week. I like that idea, this transferring of balance. Awesome work. You can slow this down. You could, come to a wall. That's a nice little support there to help support you as you build up more balance. Awesome work. Go ahead and wrap up around your arm. Maybe do one more for good luck. Beautiful work. Step the right foot down. Shake it out. Maybe come back to mountain pose. If you like that practice of coming back to center, find your center. Again, maybe it feels a little imbalanced because we've just worked the one side. My left glute is fired up and my right is like, hey, I want to join the party. Beautiful. When you're ready, we'll just take it to the other side. So hands can be doing whatever you need for counterbalance. Mine were just on the hips because that's what was helping me. So again, we're going to bring the weight into the right foot. So really rooting down into all four corners. Find that shifting of the weight without shifting through the hips too much. And adjust, again, if your body proportions are different, if one leg's longer than the other, which it happens a lot. Go ahead and make that adjustment so that you can find that little kind of pendulum swing of the left leg. And maybe at first that's just where you want to hang out. Just, working in like a 2 or 3 foot radius. If you want, you can bend the knee, bringing the leg parallel. And back, you can keep that knee bent as you send it back. Lots of different ways to explore this kicking balance. And again, we're not trying to use momentum to just kind of swing it around, We definitely could, but we're working on stability, moving nice and slow. That leg could start to straighten as you extend it. Ooh, that really fires up my quad. You could even start to bow the chest forward a little, maybe working a little bit towards a warrior 3. But we're moving from that strength in the core. So notice if you are trying to just muscle through it with the leg, bring that core activation in. Draw belly in, hug ribs in. Then you can come to a wall to help you balance. Staying mindful, staying present, staying connected with the breath. Awesome work. A few more rounds here. And one side may be a little easier than the other. You may have more balance on one side versus the other. That's totally normal. We have asymmetries in the body. We've got imbalances in the body. And yoga helps us to learn about those, first of all, to identify them, and then to learn to work with them. Awesome work. Wrap up around you're on. Woo-wee. Right glute, definitely join the party, and let's come back to your standing mountain pose at the top of the mat. When you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up towards the sky. And exhale, dive forward, forward, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold it in. Nice work. From here, we're going to step the feet back, lowering the knees down, sending hips back into child's pose. We're here for just a few rounds of breath. miss a ton of time for the restore part, but that's okay. We'll still get into some goods. Awesome work. Find your center. Notice if it's changed, if it's shifted. As we work with different planes of the body, being on the ground, on hands and knees, standing, our center may shift. Beautiful work. When you're ready, we'll come up to a seat. And then this is where you're either going to want to bring in your bolster or create something of this similar size and shape. It'll give you about, we're really just looking for, what is that, about like 5 or 6 inches of lift. So it could easily be a stack of pillows, blankets, a really large blanket. And it doesn't have to be this length, just enough. Kind of show you what we're doing. So we're going to come onto the right side of the hip. And we're just going to drape our side body over so that the bolster or whatever cushion you're using is hitting the ribs, the right side of the ribs. And then we lower the head down. You could bring it down towards the ground if that's not too intense. It's a little intense for me. So you could bring the bicep to rest your head on. You could bring in a pillow, cushion, blankets, block. You could, kind of rest on that. But have space if you do bring in a prop for the right shoulder to be able to come towards the ground. We're just working on a nice side stretch here. So the legs can be doing whatever. They can, be staggered. They could be stacked. They could extend out. And maybe it would feel good to reach the left arm overhead to kind of really get that full side body stretch here. Fantastic work. Allow yourself to release down into this. So that's why the props are here, so that we can release the larger muscles, we can release the skeleton. And we can just really allow, the shape that we're resting into to create the sensation, to create the stretch, to create the release, to create the opening. Beautiful work. We'll take about another minute or so here. I don't know where my voice is trying to go. So about another 10 or so breaths. You can close the eyes if that feels nice here. Mindfully stretching the muscles that we just worked. When you're ready, we'll just take it to the other side. So it's your choice if you want to stay lying down and just do a little 180, or if you want to come back up and switch around to the other side. I will rotate so that you don't have to see my backside. So again, we're just setting it up so that the left side rib is lifted and supported. So that as we drape ourselves over our prop, we're getting this nice deep side stretch on the right side body. Stretching those obliques, maybe getting down a little bit into the right hip flexor. If it would feel good, you could extend the right arm overhead. Again, you can rest the head on the ground or on a prop, but have space for the shoulder to drop down towards the ground so that you can get that full arch. So we've got the hips on the ground, shoulder on the ground, and this lift in the side body. We'll be here for a couple minutes. Find your breath. we get into the slower part of our practice, you may become a little more aware of little distractions. We may have been aware of distractions throughout our whole practice. That is part of a home practice. Always noises, maybe other people, pets, things that are out of our control, but are potential distractions, things that are trying to pull our attention away from our present moment. So it's just practice. That's why they call yoga a practice, is because you never master it. You never fully, I get yoga, it's never, it's like an onion. As soon as a never-ending, an infinity onion, where you peel back one layer and it just exposes another. And that's one of the joys of yoga. One of the things that personally draws me to it is that there's always something new to learn. There's always another layer to dig out. And there's always an opportunity to practice. And the more you practice on your mat, the more you start to notice how it affects your daily life, how you start to live your yoga. A few more rounds of breath on this side. Beautiful work. As you feel ready, just slowly start to make your way out of your side stretch. So we've just stretched the obliques. Let's stretch the center belly, where we did a lot of work. So we're going to rotate onto the sits bones. And then we're going to kind of take the same shape here. This is going to be like a supported fish pose. So we're going to lie back, hips on the ground, and then we've still got that space for the shoulders to drop back and down. Now the head could release all the way back. That could be a little too intense in the neck and the shoulders, or even in the back. It is for me. So I'm gonna, again, bring in that prop, but leaving that space for my shoulders to drop open. So not only are we getting this really nice big opening stretch in the belly, but then with the shoulders dropping down, we're able to get this beautiful opening in our chest and in our heart. If it feels okay to have the legs extended, have them do that. But that is more extreme on the low back, so you could bend the knees, planting the feet on the ground. You could also bring in a little blanket, a little lift in the booty, if this is a little bit of an extreme back bend for you. I've got low back issues, so I don't want to create any pain for me in the future, so I'm going to put that little cushion there. And just allow yourself to settle into this openness. Now this pose, you definitely want to listen to the body. Definitely want to tune into those messages if the body's saying, hey, we're not feeling this. It's a little too extreme. Listen to the body, adjust as necessary. Awesome, like about a minute here. And make sure that you support yourself when you get out of this. So you can either roll onto one side of the body to gently press up, or you can bring the hands back behind the head to support the neck as you bring in a little bit of a crunch and raise up. And just for a quick little counter stretch before we get into our Shavasana, you can either bring your prop forward or kind of flip around so that your bolster, your blanket, whatever kind of stacking you got going on is underneath the knees. And we're just going to come to a nice, gentle, supported forward fold. So lengthening up through the crown of the head. And when you're ready, knees nice and soft. I'm just going to bow forward. If you want, bring in pillows, cushions, anything to, a block to release the head down. And we're not looking to fold completely in half. We're not looking for an extreme bend. We're just kind of looking to, stretch the back side of the core. But also just kind of a nice little counter stretch for the, we just did the side bends and that pretty extreme back bend. So just to bring balance into the body. Nothing forceful, nothing aggressive. You come back to your center, maybe see if it shifted or if it stayed the same through practice. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer to what is your center. Where do you feel centered right now? And maybe that's a foreign feeling to you at this moment, and that's okay too. Feel free to stay in this forward fold as long as you like. As long as it serves you. And we will wrap up our practice just with a minute in Shavasana. So take your time. If there's any other final movements or stretches that would feel awesome for you, if you've got like a little ritual that you like to do or a little series that you like to wrap up with, feel free to take that. And then setting up our Shavasana, or final relaxation, the idea behind this is to get into a position where you can just surrender. So whether that's laying on your back, on the side, on your belly, whether that's curling up in a blanket, using props to support you in any way that feels right. Take your time to set this position of surrender up. Whatever works for you. I'm going to have the bolster underneath my knees. I'm going to lay back. Got a little pillow, a little blanket pillow for my head. Oh yeah, this feels nice. So take your time to get into your Shavasana, whatever that looks like for you. Any position that you feel like you could surrender to. Give yourself space and time, and while I will hold space for a minute, I will encourage you to take as much time as you can. If you can carve out 5 minutes, awesome. If you can carve out more, take it. This is an opportunity to not only let all the good work that we've just done to really start to integrate into the body. As after all that movement and activity, as we start to settle, things may settle, things may open, things may release. And the Shavasana is just an opportunity to allow that to happen. It's pretty simple. Just allow yourself to surrender. Allow yourself to be present in the moment. Trying to not get sucked into the past or projected into the future. Find your center. Where do you feel most centered right now? And let that be your focal point. Let that be be your orientation. Ultimately, just taking this moment to just be. If you do have more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, please take as much time as you can give yourself. Perhaps turning off this video, turning on some music, letting yourself be in the peace of the present. If you'd like to wrap up your practice with me right now, take a moment to just slowly bring some movement back into the body. Nice and gentle with yourself. If you're lying down and not already there, just simply roll onto one side of the body. Wherever you find yourself right now, just take a moment to offer yourself some gratitude for carving out this time, for having the strength and courage to step on your mat and do the hard work, to put in the practice, to put in the time, and to allow yourself to be open to whatever the practice brings. If you're not already there, gently press your way back up to a comfortable seat. I will invite you to bring the hands to heart center or take any other meaningful or reverent gesture with the hands. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those joining live, hope you have a fantastic Sunday. For those viewing later in the future, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for allowing me into your homes to share the magic of yoga. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste. Thank you again to everyone. I do these classes donation-based, so if you are in a position and you would like to donate, I have left my Venmo in the description. However, if you are needing this as a gift today, I happy to give it to you. So thank you so much. I'm here every Sunday at noon. I also teach Monday nights, a restore class of just the yummy restore nice and mellow. So join me tomorrow night at 6 if you would like, Monday nights. Yeah, feel free to reach out, DM me with any questions or requests for future classes. If you enjoyed this class, feel free to share it with anyone who you may think would benefit from it. Thank you so much. Hope to see you all soon.